Episode 2, First Generation Millionaire Podcast. Jada, get yourself together. Collect yourself.
I'm here. I am here.
Got Tyler here as well.
Yo, what's good?
We got Ariana, CEO of Collective Casting.
Hello.
And Willie B behind the boards.
Hi.
Not hi. We are back officially.
What we talking about today, Jada?
We're talking about the stimulus check today and all of the extensions that unfortunately we're getting during this unfortunate COVID-19 time. We're actually living through history. This is pretty intense. I officially have a mask now, so I hope that everybody also has a mask. Actually, we'll be creating masks for everybody, so if you don't, that is okay.
Yeah, I do not have a mask.
When will the masks be available?
Since
Where can we
Hold on, I didn't even know that was going on.
Okay.
You selling masks?
Wait.
Hey, he's
till
surprised
they're-
that I didn't know
Can we wait?
the mask would have to be distributed. I did not prepare for this.
Thank you, William.
I did not
Thank you.
sign up.
Look, breaking news. News.
I was trying to drop a teaser.
We ain't got no. Can we drop a bomb somehow? Can we drop a bomb? We're gonna insert that drop bomb.
Okay. The mask will be available at www.indieshop.co, but I'm not ready to talk about them yet because they're still in production.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the topic at hand.
The stimulus check. First, I feel like, how does everybody feel like about what's going on, like in general? Like, I feel like we should have a general synopsis about COVID-19.
How do I feel about the stimulus check, or how do I feel about COVID?
COVID right now before the stimulus check.
I feel like a lot of people are getting a much needed break.
That's fair.
Time wise.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Time wise. I also feel like people are not seeing their check.
That's not funny. We
because
shouldn't
they
laugh.
not being able to put that time in.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that's what we talked about kind of on the last John, where we were saying like we have to figure out systems for ourselves where our income is not connected to our time. If we're trading our time for money, then that goes to show that may not necessarily be the best move, at least for the long run. Everybody that make money right now started off trading time for money. So
Right.
we should not look down upon that. We should not, try and like do anything other than shed light on the fact that when you trade your time for money, you are limited.
Your money's finite.
Your money is finite. You don't have 56 hours in a day. You have 24.
Exactly.
And you cannot work 24/7.
Exactly.
That's not healthy. I don't care what Kevin Gates says. I don't care what he says. He sleeps, okay? He sleeps. We all sleep.
Right.
It is scientifically proven that you need sleep. And when you look at billionaires, you want to know what they have in their schedule? Yeah. Sleep. So you got to sleep. So you cannot work 24 hours a day. But that's what I'm just putting there as we start right now, because I end up going on a rant about sleep.
I feel that. Okay. Yeah. I definitely feel like, to second your point, definitely feels like we're living through history right now. And I felt that almost a month ago when I saw other countries starting to go through this move and then saw it sort of translate over to the U.S. It's not so much fear. It's just more so like I'm almost like surprised and sort of like just sort of fascinated with it because of the way people are starting to interact with each other and sort of react to what's going on. In total, I mean, I feel like we're going to get through it. As for when or how, that's yet to be seen. But definitely staying positive, though, optimistic. Part of that is because I still got a check. I still got a job. That's part of the reason why I'm still being optimistic. I'm still able to be that way.
Right.
And I'm just thinking about other people right now. A lot of people don't have a job, so.
This is true.
Yeah.
Tyler, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I'm in a position where I am still working as an employee and still maintaining my business and doing what I can do. So it's pros and cons to everything. I believe in duality and everything. So it's pros and cons to everything. I pay attention to the cons, but I focus on the pros, and I take advantage of the pros. So right now, in my job as an employee, we got a 12% increase on our weekly checks for 12 weeks.
Right.
And we guarantee checks if we don't work, if we go down.
Wow.
And then with the stimulus check coming and being income tax season, there's actually just a lot of money coming in right now.
Right. Wow.
On the flip side, I got to keep myself healthy
Right.
for the people around me more so.
Yeah.
With the positive thing about that, it had inspired me to complete a fast that I was thinking about doing.
Right.
I just completed a fast. I didn't eat for 72 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I feel like that is like a super pro for like the collective, like because everybody's like in their home right now. So if you are not able to, I guess, fight COVID or the symptoms or whatever basic allergy symptoms that you have right now, based off like medicine and the doctor, since everything is kind of overpopulated, you can just do, at home remedies and focus on your health the internal way as opposed to, using medicines and things that you probably weren't really supposed to be taking based on several other things and
Right.
topics. But just knowing that now, like, you can just have the knowledge to simply go in your cabinet and kind of like be creative and think deeper about how to heal your body.
And also just washing your hands and just, typical, like little stuff, like just washing your hands and being careful about what's going on, you know what I mean? And staying hydrated, little stuff,
Agreed.
Okay, so my situation is entirely different from everyone's because I'm unemployed at the moment. As a small business owner, there are no jobs coming in. All jobs have been canceled. There are clients filing bankruptcy, unable to pay us, so we're unable to pay talent. We will not last if it lasts longer than 6 months, and we don't receive any government assistance. There is any emergency funding goes automatically to our talent that we pay. Any savings immediately goes to all bills that we have as a business, like in the talent. It's in the thousands, and we're seeing zero in cash flow right now. So it's definitely extremely scary. But to be honest, this is not my first business crisis. So I learned from the last time that I thought the world was going to end. I thought my life was over. I thought I couldn't redeem myself as a business owner. And I thought I was going to have to go back to, not pursuing my business. But it was actually an opportunity for me to create systems and also ways to bring in money and different forms of cash flow that didn't rely on the sole basis of booking models. That's what I do. For those that may not know me, I am the CEO of Collective Casting. I book models and talent nationwide. So as soon as they started doing lockdowns in New York City in the middle of March, everything started canceling. Clients just all across the country just stopped booking jobs. And we had projections this year this year being our most successful year, this being our highest year in revenue, and all of that is gone. And all of that has to be, recalculated. And there's really no way to really calculate anything right now because there are no jobs and we don't know when we're going to go back to work. So it's a huge wake-up call for me. It's a huge reality check for me and a lot of other business owners. But honestly, even with this stimulus check, I'm just looking to survive. And at the end of the day, it's about survival. Like, I'm not worried about anything else. I'm not worried about waking up and starting another side hustle. I'm just not. I literally was running a business. Like, there's only so much mental, capacity that my brain has to deal with all these issues, So, I understand, it may, as a business owner, I may sound like a hypocrite talking about don't rise and grind every day, but no, I think a lot of people, including myself, need rest and recovery, and just, as was mentioned before, just time to just chill out because, we're just always grinding 24/7 nonstop. We don't get to clock out as business owners. Like, it's just you wake up and people are already at your neck. Like, from the moment you wake up to the time you close your eyes every single day, And I deal with people in different time zones. So it's all sorts of time zones. It's constant. So this circumstances, it's unfortunate, but it really did stop everything. It wasn't like and I'm only the one going through it. That's
Right,
another thing too.
exactly.
It's literally a nationwide, global thing that millions of people are going through. So it definitely does ease some of my like stress about everything
Right.
because I know I'm not the only one that may be facing a crisis
I
right
think
now.
one dope thing that you said about that was the fact that it's forcing you to open your brain up to different streams of income. Because I think
Yeah.
one thing that the creatives do as freelancers, like we get stuck on like one super dope hobby that's
For
creative,
sure.
and
Yeah.
then we put like all of our time and energy into it, and then we don't think that like if something goes wrong in that market of that industry,
Right.
that you know
Right.
we don't got nothing else to do because we just put all that energy into that industry.
Right.
So I feel like one thing that it is doing is forcing this generation of first generation millionaires who are not necessarily at that millionaire peak yet
You're
to
right.
like open up and think about other ways that
I mean,
other industries could,
it's literally
work at the
forcing
same
us.
time.
It's literally forcing us to change the ways we think about our money. It's
Definitely.
literally forcing us to learn something different. There is
Right.
nothing else.
Exactly.
There are, in the jobs that are available, I'm going from a CEO to applying at Aldi's, CVS, the Amazon, the only jobs that are open. I don't have a degree.
Yeah.
I started a business and I dropped out of school. Like, it's real. Like, there is
Right.
nothing to really fall back on,
I feel that. And then on other ways, though, because if you not, because I don't know, I'm really genuinely like anti 9 to 5. That's like how
It's
I
not
operate.
a.
But I feel like on that wave, it's other things like what we was talking about in the first episode in terms of preparation. When you prepare yourself, not for a crisis, because nobody knew that the crisis was gonna happen unless you like, in the know. But in terms of like preparation, like in preparing for deficits by having other streams of income that are already flowing from outside sources and areas into your business, like real estate, which is honestly something like that me and Tyler focus a lot on, which is something that I want him to elaborate on in terms of wholesale real estate, because that's one thing that our generation, honestly, just in my personal circle, doesn't know that right there could be like super key in why you wouldn't necessarily feel the deficit of a deficit like this, because you would have certain levels of income coming from certain areas, and then on top of, if you do have a certain type of business, maybe that did crash, but you got this along with maybe other things I don't even know
For sure.
off
And
interest, whatever, but based off the levels of interest that you have in preparation and time, you would have
But that is the issue. Right now, people don't know how they're going to pay their bills in 30 days. We may not know how to learn wholesale real estate in 30 days and be profitable.
Right,
The same
no,
with stocks and everything. So, I am very anti 9 to 5. I'm very anti conformity. I dropped out of college. I don't even have a degree. So, it's about my survival though. At the end of the day, it's about I need to be able to eat. I need to be able to live. Right. And when no one else is taking care of you because you've been running it all by yourself and no one else is about to step in and come in and save you, and things do get real, I applaud any entrepreneur that takes up a second hustle just so that they can, survive,
Definitely.
And, I got people to take care of. I got hundreds of models that I got to take care of. Like, I'm definitely not, when you're first starting as a business and you don't got working capital or none of that, you gotta. I use my last job to fund my first business expenses.
Exactly.
So a lot of times is a real hustler. Like, we just gonna work. Like, it's just period. Like, I'm just trying to work. And now we're gonna inevitably get into working more smarter with the time as we have all this time to teach ourselves all these different new things. But in this meantime, like I said, if government assistance doesn't step in and really help people, a lot of people are going to, like, their mental health is going to just, we're going to just keep on declining, just keep on being so stressed. We're not even going to be able to focus on going into new things. Like, so, yeah.
I think that's a good shift to talk about the mental health, because I feel like that's what the media is, in my perspective.
Yeah.
Touching with the older generation, because the mental health of the older generation is not necessarily, I don't know, just like as equipped as we are with just offsetting information from the media.
I agree.
So that is also like, influencing that fear factor that's going into a lot of the stuff that we're actually talking about right now on this topic. So, yeah, that's
I think it's a huge factor, and it's I mean, it's unfortunate because the media does play so much into the mental health of our society. And I know that older people, they're probably extremely scared right now. Like, I really couldn't imagine like those feelings because they're at home, and what do? I know my grandmothers, they be watching TV all day. Like, they just be chilling, watching TV all day,
exactly.
making food, calling their loved ones, and just chilling.
But on the flip side of that, if you are like in a situation where you got like different levels of the generation in your home, now it's time to like teach. It's time to like teach the family like what we love. Like if we love, I don't know, green smoothies every day.
Right.
It's just time to have those conversations about like, what's up, because everything is closed right now. So it's just like, all right, while we do got the time to go to the grocery store, literally stock up on all the healthy stuff that we know we gonna need. Right. And let's try to stretch it out and make as many dope, creative meals that are, informative but, tasty at the same time, because I don't want for like the collective of everybody to like think that normal is about to happen after all this, because it's totally not about to be like the normal that we just had. So with all of the topics that just like came out, none of that is about to be normal again. Like the way people make money, the way we operate, the way systems in terms of like employees and 9-to-5s and like none of that. School systems, like kids ain't going to school for the rest of the year now. That's about to change the whole system going forward now.
That's really crazy.
I think it's funny how we were told, and I was just having a conversation about this the other day. We were told to go to college and get a degree and, get a good job and stuff like that. And it's funny how we see now all the essential work is for people who don't go to college and the people who don't go in debt. And the people, like everybody who working right now is, albeit the pay ain't the way it's supposed to be, but them ain't the folks that they got the $1,000 of degrees and stuff out. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, how do you deem what is essential now? Now, obviously we're going through an economic contraction right now, and monetary policy, deems it necessary to lower interest rates, and it deems it necessary to print more money in times like this. And we want to, and that's why like stimulus checks are going out. That's why we have government assistance, quote unquote, which is basically a bailout. That's why we have interest rates that went to zero for charter banks, which then passes it on to us to have very low interest rates. But the fact of the matter is still plays where we have to figure out how to operate. And albeit you should not plan to operate your business for a pandemic, because pandemics statistically will really only happen every 100 years. So if you were like, I need a pandemic proof business. No, you don't. Statistically speaking, no, you don't. Statistically, this will not happen again in our lifetime unless you live to be like 130, and then I'm hoping that you pretty like, cool off by 130. Like,
we gonna have a bunker. I told you.
I think the biggest issue that we need to talk about, not necessarily right now, is the same amount of economic growth that we have seen through the Industrial Revolution, through the tech boom, through many different for lack of a better phrase, expansions that we've seen. Will we see that again? Have we exhausted everything to its capacity? If you think about the Industrial Revolution, I mean, we really went from riding the horses to being on cars. If you look at since we created cars have not gotten leaps and bounds better. The leaps and bounds happened from when we went from horses to cars. Same thing with the tech boom. Tech boom totally changed the way we did business. We could now email. We could interface through the internet. Albeit we got things like Zoom or Skype or whatever that helps make business more equitable and quicker for different businesses. But we have exhausted the big jump is that we saw for the tech boom. Until we get to a point where we have another major expansion, I don't think we're going to see gross domestic product grow in the same way that we've seen, unless we have another greater growth again.
I saw something about this recently about there was a question proposed, almost rhetorical in a sense, but is this the year that we see China take over as the superpower of the
Okay.
world? Based on what you're saying right here, even in the way this is playing out, when you print money to give people, when you do stuff like that, when you bail out banks, when you cut down interest rates and stuff like that, your value of your dollar goes down. You know what I mean? So at this point, our dollar as a country, our value as a country is depleting constantly. You know what I mean? If anything, at a faster rate than other countries because we're not handling this shit correctly. And we won't be handling this shit correctly anytime soon, it looks like. So with that being said, you know what I mean? I would have to say that the next revolution is almost imperative in order for us to repair and try to rebound as a country. You know what I mean? Given like this could be the drop that we're seeing, you know what I mean? And like you said earlier, the structure of things are going to be different now. You know what I mean?
I feel like we're entering
it's a new age.
Industrial online revolution.
It's an
right
entire,
now.
it's an entire new
right
age.
now you got a whole system that just collapsed. Why not insert Bitcoin right now into every single store right now?
But this is what you're saying right here about trying to prepare for something like this. If you can't prepare for a pandemic because it's never happened, you don't know how to prepare for something like this.
True.
But even if all the knowledge you've had gaining up to this point about anything about real estate or anything else about how you make money, how money works, about how things work in the economy, it doesn't work like that anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like all that knowledge, you have to try and go back and look over all that stuff. If you learn everything you know, because the thing is, it's been operating well up to this point and it's been working. Whatever it is that you know, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in stocks, whether you're in this, that, and the other, technology, whatever it may be, all that stuff operates differently now because we have a different situation to deal with. Money's moving differently throughout the country. Loans work differently. Businesses get started differently now. It's going to be a whole different ball game, but you have to be able to keep an open mind going forward. That's the one thing I hope for people that are entrepreneurs and people that are business minded is to try and almost revert back to when you was a youngin' and you was trying to get your hustle on and trying to learn and try and take in information and become a sponge again, because that type of mentality is going to be the way you're able to survive and your business is able to survive this type of situation here. Also to your point, the next revolution, space race, bro.
I feel that. But I do want to hit on the point that you were talking about. Inflation. Inflation, pretty much in the grand scheme of modern monetary policy, encourages spending in consumer goods and services and encourages spending as far as investing. So without inflation, people would just hoard money.
Yes.
Because the money, but the point of inflation is the fact that the dollar is worth less next year. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I should spend it now on something to either get what I need to have or get more of this so I can have it later. So I don't think inflation in and of itself is a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's
the
a bad
deflation
thing.
of the value of your dollar is not bad. It's just relative to everything else.
My worry is about the one thing you can't account for is human behavior and how unpredictable it is. And this point, you also talked about how the people that are hurting the most are people with the most debt. The people that are hurting the most are people that can't pay their bills, people that can't pay debt. You know what I mean? All that money they getting is going straight to debt. It's all going to money, all going to bills. It's not going back into the economy. And people ain't going shopping with that money. People that, like you said, bad decision is going out and spending that money on shit. And it's going out and consuming bullshit. People going to spend it on either essentials, which is going to be food, or something like bills, like services and debt from past services like student loans. That shit going to my loans, bro, to be 100. You know what I mean? It's going to my loans and it's going to credit cards. Shit that money I've already spent. You know what I mean? So it's like, in my mind, that money is not going to be going in no store. So it's like, of course, it's going to give me, of course, being a stimulus check is going to give me money to float around and spend money elsewhere. But again, my behavior, where it is right now, it's not going to change too much going into May. After I get that money, after I even get help from my job is even giving me help. After I get all that money is going right back to where my priorities lie.
And I think that's only because you think differently.
Well, that's because
that's the only reason.
Well, it's my priorities as someone with this much debt. You know what I mean?
And everybody, but there are people with more debt than you that ain't even thinking like you. And I think that's the point of what we're talking about here is we want to talk about what you're going to do with this little bit of quote unquote extra, but it's not really extra.
I want to talk about what I'm going to do because I got debt. But
Go ahead.
What I'm about to do is learn how to trade. So let's talk about what y'all simplified was how the currency trading system works of trading the US dollar versus whatever we competing it up against.
So you're talking about Forex.
Hold on.
Forex, foreign exchange is really what I want people to literally understand because Forex makes you feel cringy. That's not what I'm about. I'm about literally understanding the knowledge behind the foreign exchange market. because those people are not having this conversation. Those people are fine. Those people understand the value of what just happened because they already put their money in certain ways and pockets and investments to where this deficit went right over their head. And I'm not saying that all you got to do is learn how to trade, because it's not all you got to learn how to do is trade. Like, no, you got to keep your job. You got to focus on whatever you're doing in your life. But you have to understand the system that you're working in, because that part is what we don't know. And that part is why we have issues on financial literacy and not understanding how to operate during a pandemic. That's why the whole generation of millennials, literally, we get this information and we get access to not just have podcasts and talk about it, to actually use it, to know that when we're like, 45, 50, we gonna be in them seats. And if we really say we about what we talking about, why not learn how to operate the system that literally we're in right now? For real. Because that's what all of this is, like, literally, the stock market crashed and all them billionaires sat down. We need to have that conversation. Why did they sit down? Where was their money going? Why was it coming in and out? And why did they leave?
So you're talking about, for instance, people who step down from CEO positions?
All of them, yes. We need to know their names. We need to talk about that. That's the First Generation Millionaire general conversation that we need to be having.
So I do want to point this out. We have been saying, or we have known in the public eye, at minimum, at least since January, that this would be a global pandemic.
Yeah.
What we saw from our White House audit, take that out the picture. Mm-hmm. Dr. Anthony Fauci got up in front of the nation in January and told us what was about to go down.
You got to talk about who that man is.
So the CEO of what?
No, Dr. Anthony Fauci is the lead doctor as far as the Institution of Infectious Disease.
He's on top. He's on like the executive board. He's up in there, and he's in one of the people that are leading these conversations in the White House when they're talking about what's going on and what to expect. He's the one that's being like, "This is what's going on." If you notice, if you watch it, it's almost funny. If you watch Trump try to talk about this stuff, dude's always in the background, right?
Right.
He's always back there. He's a short dude with the glasses.
Exactly.
You almost see him react to the stuff dude is saying.
And it's kind of like smirks and laughs and giggles.
He's like, dude, like, stop saying this stuff.
I mean, real talk. If anybody that has given us a report of what's been going on, that's been keeping 100, it's been Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he's been saying this at minimum since January.
I mean, when we went to Vegas in late January, we already knew about it.
We already knew
a lot about it at that point.
So the whole like, oh, well, this caught us by surprise. And no, I think what happens is people don't take at face value the for lack of a better phrase, the total implications of what a global calamity can really cause. Yeah. Now, albeit we haven't seen this before in our lifetime. I don't think, with maybe the exception of somebody who's 100 in like 10.
Someone that's
right.
Spanish flu.
But then that person's so old, they're like, you want me to recall something 100 years ago? Like, but we have not seen something like this in our lifetime. So to understand the global scope of what can go on, we don't actually understand.
And you also look at billionaires, and the reason why they're sitting down, they have the losses they're gonna feel that loss. We won't feel it it trickles down. It trickles down a whole different level when it comes to people that are moving that type of money around too. And plus, like, it's hard for people at our position try and fathom what's actually about to happen as well. Trying to actually fathom that what's about to happen, because of the fact it's never happened before, and plus we can't even try to think about the idea of people losing that much money
I think people that aren't billionaires don't understand how net worth functions,
and that's fair.
So let's break this down for a second. Warren Buffett is worth $80+ billion. Warren Buffett does not live off of $80+ billion. 90+% of his net worth is assets, and he lives off a small portion of what those residuals are. We want to sit and talk about residual. We want to sit and talk about passive income. We want to sit and talk about all this stuff when your actual billionaire has billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of worth. That is a valuation of how much they're worth. And then On top of that, they live off of a very small portion of what that is. Obviously, if you have $100 billion, that small portion is still a crap ton of money. But when you talk about being worth $10 million, you are probably living like the normal average American. You just have less of a quote unquote physical work life. You're not trading your time for money in this. In that
And a lot of money, like you said, is passive. A lot of stuff is just that's where time is no longer. You're no longer bound by time when it comes to money. When your money is coming in passive and residual like that, it's just kind of it's just coming. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Money is just you don't have a work day. Your situation is different, and the thing is, you live off of it. It's just coming in, and you. Those people, they don't.
You living off a small portion.
That's what I'm saying. You're not living like a millionaire. You think about
Exactly.
this, live like a millionaire. You got yachts and shit. No, you're worth $1 million. You live in a house down the street. You live in a neighborhood maybe like this somewhere. You got a nice house. It's yours. You own it. That's part of your worth. That right there. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You got properties elsewhere that you own. You might even own an apartment building somewhere, and that's just passive income coming in every month.
That may be
bread.
going into
That's
capital
why I was-
expenditures.
Exactly. I may going in somewhere else. I may going into stock somewhere. Now you actually have $500K in stocks alone. You don't spend none of that.
That's what
You know?
I was talking about in terms of the preparation conversation of having several streams of income when you are an entrepreneur. Because eventually, entrepreneur does turn into like a millionaire. Like
Yeah.
you just don't be trapping forever. Like
I look into a lot of discussion boards, a lot of places where people talk about this stuff online and stuff like that in different places. It's pretty much open discussion about a lot of stuff. People they share their portfolios, they share their income, they share their withdrawal rate, they share how they live off that stuff, they share when they quit their job. You know what I mean? They share what time in their life where they did that, what they did to get to that point, and they talk about it. You know what I mean? A lot of people even sharing their stories right now about how they're dealing with this because some people just went ahead and went financially independent. December,
Definitely.
and they're like, shoot,
sure.
okay, now my shit changed now.
Exactly.
But the thing is, they're switching up their withdrawal rates. They're just switching up. They're moving shit around. They're living off less, and they're being more frugal. You know what I mean? For the greater sake, they know it's only gonna last a certain amount of time. It's not gonna be
Exactly.
forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? They gotta last until December. Okay, I can make that happen. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll pick up something else on the side just to have some money on coming in,
Right.
because it's just money. You know what I mean?
And I think that's why it's imperative for people to figure out in a calculation facet what is their goal point for
Yes.
your financial independence. For me, financial
Also-
independence for me is when I can live off of 2% of my portfolio if my portfolio drops 30%.
Yes.
So,
So that saves you
boom.
from crisis right there. If something goes wrong, you still cool. You know what I mean? You're straight. And the thing is, a lot of people, and that's a high percentage to shoot for. A lot of people live off of 1.5% of their withdrawal
Most people,
rate.
the withdrawal rate is normally 3 to 4%, depending on.
But people I've been looking at, think of people that are
1%?
doing that
That's-
shit
that's
early.
good.
They
That's
they
nice.
get into financial independence before they're 40. You know
That's
what I mean? So
nice.
they're trying to get to the point where they're like, I'm a millionaire, I got property, it's passive, and I'm just living frugal. And they're literally on some minimalist shit. You know what I mean?
And I
To
think the
point for
goal,
bread.
if you are looking
So-
to be, a millionaire, first generation or whatever generation, like you should have a financial portfolio and a goal that you are looking like you just said. What type of millionaire basically do you want to be? Because there's several ways. Like you don't have to just be an entrepreneur to be a millionaire. It's so many different
And also,
ways.
to your point, you don't know you're a millionaire if you ain't got a portfolio. You know what I mean? You have no way to gauge your funds. You have no way
Exactly.
to manage what you're doing or manage where it's going.
Also, I would like to chime in here and say a portfolio is not necessarily just what stocks are.
Right.
I think for me, and I don't know what anybody else's definition of this is, but a portfolio for me is the collective worth of your assets as far as what they are and then what they pay you as far as dividends month after month,
Just
quarter
total
after quarter.
overlook
year
of
after
what's
year.
going on, what's going in, what's going out, and
Exactly.
then your base end point. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and when we talk about assets can be ownership of a business. You can own a grocery store.
could be
You
stock.
can own a corner store.
Exactly.
You can own a
be
gas station. You
it
can
can be
own a
property,
signage
you
business.
know what I
Yep.
mean?
You can own real estate. You can own a stock portfolio. You can own a modeling agency. You can own a tech company. Ownership in any type of asset that yields you some type of income. But I think what is imperative to look at when it comes to that is what are your profit margins and how much of your profits can you reinvest and how much can you pay other people, because you're going to have employees in some way, shape, or sense if you got a business, and then how much can you pay yourself? And I think a lot of times, I think a lot of times when people start off on businesses, they don't think about how much they can pay themselves. Sometimes they pay themselves too much. Sometimes they pay themselves too little.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think not really working out the math of, hey, I know we made, 10 bands this month. I'm only taking 500 because we need to pay X amount of people, and I want to be able to reinvest 40-50% of these profits. I think so many people are functioning as if their business's income is their personal income and not just the profit that needs to be paid out to employees, shareholders, and reinvestments.
This part. This is why I'm so adamant right now about different streams of income. Because while I'm going to use myself as an example, because my goal for like the rest of my life right now is to focus on the businesses that I want, but to literally put other streams around them so that I don't have to just focus on my businesses. Because what if it's I don't know, what if something happens? I literally can create any type of scenario that can happen, but that's based off of other people dealing with my money. So if I operate like them other people dealing with my money, I will know the projections of what's maybe potentially going to happen with my money and my dealings.
That's a matter of awareness.
Exactly. And I feel like everybody, if you are looking to be a first generation millionaire, you have to have that eye, because you cannot operate your business like you operate a job. You cannot. You have to change your mindset. You have to study some billionaires. Study how they move. Study how they talk. Study what they operate. Study what their investments are and why they are their investments, and think what that can like copy and paste and look like in your business in a different format. Because if we really about to change a generation and we really about to change a financial system of systems, we got to make sure our systems align with this system, but don't mess us up, because this system messes us up.
So I think an understanding of diversity and equity is very important. When we look at more so local business owners, they tend to own 100% of their businesses. When we get up the ranks and start looking at billionaires, Jeff Bezos owns somewhere between only 12 and 16% of Amazon.
I'm surprised he owned that much, honestly.
He just sold off about $4.5 billion to fund some more.
But talk
endeavors.
about why. Talk about why people
Because-
sell off parts of their business.
Because having a portion of equity in a bunch of businesses is more diversified and quote unquote fail proof than having all your equity in one. I'm gonna be upfront. Elon Musk having all his coins in on Tesla does not make me feel comfortable.
No.
It does not make me feel comfortable.
One
Why?
bad PR
Why not,
situation, and the stock drops, and he is done.
His net worth drops, and on top of that, what if that endeavor doesn't work? That makes me feel like if you compare it to somebody more like a Bill Gates, who he owns a portion of Berkshire Hathaway, he owns a portion of Waste Management, he owns a portion of Microsoft. People don't understand. Bill Gates has been divesting more and more from Microsoft, not because he feels like Microsoft is a bad company either, but because over time, when you accrue wealth, you have to understand that your wealth cannot be heavily concentrated in one place.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
As simple as it is.
But I also want to put this out here. So many young entrepreneurs are really focused on, I gotta own what my stuff is. Yo, why does that matter? Why does it matter that you own 100% of your company? So if your company go down, you go down as well. Why can't you own 10% of 20 companies? Now that's way better than if you own just 100% of one. Why would you do that? That's why managers will represent 20 or 30 different artists and be getting 7 to 10%, sometimes 15% of what they getting, because that diversification across artists, even though it's in the same industry, helps them balance out. Every artist ain't gonna make it. A lot of people don't like hearing that.
Let's stay on that topic, because if we Jay-Z, we got artists, we got real estate, we got title. We got, what else he got?
You got consumer
Rock Nation
goods.
Sports.
Rock Nation
You
Sports.
got consumer goods. You got drinks. You got
Exactly.
alcohol and stuff like that, which is a whole nother. All these are different markets.
Most of
different
Jay-Z's
markets,
net worth,
different
people don't
industries and streams of
understand.
income.
Yep. So most of Jay-Z's net worth actually is champagne.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't understand that. People think, oh, it's all music. No. That's $75 million of his $1 billion net worth. Yeah. You really think Jay-Z isn't diversified if he's a billionaire? Are you kidding me? A portion of that is real estate. It's far from hip hop.
This much is hip hop.
Even look at
this
Diddy.
Much.
Diddy and Hov is probably the best examples of somebody starting in one situation and accruing wealth, and then deliberately going out and ultimately diversifying their stuff across the board. You know what I mean? Across the board. Every single market you can think of, they got money in it. You know what I mean? That's why they that rich. Right. That's why they have the money center. That's why they have that much worth. You know what I mean? It's the only thing that makes sense is that they know a little bit about everything, and they dabble in everything.
And let me put it out like this as well. We see the lifestyles that certain people live, but you have to see on the grand scale of things, they're living off of a small portion of what their profits are. Are you, as an entrepreneur, willing to thug it out on a small portion to help the rest of your wealth grow and grow exponentially and reinvest? Can you live off of 5-10% of your income? Or 5 or 10% of your profit, and in order to reinvest the rest of it? Are you willing to, chill in the house with your homies for a while so you pay less rent? Man. Are you really willing to thug it out so you can grow? So then the portion, that same percentage you were living off of, now can grow because you are allowing the reinvestment to grow. And to give you some action to diversify into other markets.
Yourself.
Exactly. And I don't understand why people let me tone down. I don't understand why people they want to have everything so quickly when in actuality we see the accruing of wealth happening over time for so many people.
Man. We talked about this on the first episode too.
Yeah. But Jay-Z's accruing of wealth has happened over the span of 3 decades.
Yeah, literally 30 years.
3 decades.
Same with Diddy.
3 decades.
To them, it's 30 years, 25 to 30 years to get.
And people don't want to do that for 30 years. People don't want. I think we just want things so quickly, and we don't see Jay-Z probably looking back right now like, man, that was quick. Man, 30 years. Whew, I'm glad it only took 30 years.
Mm-hmm. That's if you do it really, really, really well.
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
Now you have the outliers like the Mark Zuckerbergs and stuff like that.
Even that stuff, it's even.
But Mark Zuckerberg wasn't worth as much as he was now just 5 years ago.
People see that stuff and that's what they cling on to. You know what I mean? They see that. They see Jeff Bezos. They see them seemingly come out of nowhere. And they like,
and it didn't. Go look at Amazon in like the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It was a whole thing. It was still there. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, it was there. It just wasn't shit yet. Like,
so the 90s was like what, 30 years away? Yeah. Like people
that's not even long ago. Oh my God, this is crazy.
But you want to know what? 30 years while you constantly grinding feels like a long time. And people don't want to put in 30 years of work.
Right.
People want to take breaks. People want to hold off. And people want to live completely off their profits.
They want to be kicking it. They want to be rich.
People want
to be millionaires.
Profit and dividend reinvestment is the bread and butter of accruing wealth.
But to your point right here, like even people making that choice to live like that, that's a choice you make by the media. You think millionaires live like that because of the media. Right. You have this jaded view of what you think reality is, and it's really not like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It comes with knowledge. It comes with knowledge and self-awareness to understand what actually is going on and what actually your life would actually look like if you make it to that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what you really want. Because if you really want to be balling like that, then your goal is not $1 million. You know what I mean? Your goal is a lot more than that. Set your goal where it needs to be.
And you could ball off like that, but like
you can
with
ball,
credit.
Yes.
Like
you know what I'm saying? Like it's all
you could get all that.
It takes time, and you got to do it the right way. You know what I mean? People want to just be balling and be a young nigga in a Mercedes going crazy. And it's like it don't really work like that. You know what I mean? Like it just don't. So
I also want to put out there, you can be young and in a Mercedes and not be over leveraged. Let's not count out the fact that leverage, which is getting debt in order to make more of a profit and a higher interest rate than the amount of money and the interest of debt that you took out, that is still how you also operate in a capitalistic society. And I think we talked about this on the last pod, but I'm gonna just say this real quick. You pretty much have productivity growth, you have a short-term debt cycle, and you have a long-term debt cycle. So a long-term debt cycle happens every 75 to 100 years. Short-term debt cycle every 5 to 8, 5 to 10 years. And productivity growth is constant.
Right.
What debt allows you to do is gain leverage and an opportunity to make more money than if you were totally just to rely on productivity growth. And when you rely on debt, i.e., to make it real simple, you taking out a mortgage on $100,000 property in order to rent it out to make you money and gain more money on the back end than the interest rate and the principal amount that you took out on that property. That is you using leverage because it's money that you would not have had anyway before that in order to make more than that amount of money later. So there's nothing wrong with debt as long as it's not used to finance overconsumption that can't be paid back. And what I see debt being used as more and more often is for people to finance overconsumption. Oh, I need to buy a new TV.
Right.
I need to buy this new couch.
Right.
I need to buy this. You see what I'm saying?
Just
Like
over consuming.
yes, to buy something that is not going to make you more money.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with using debt. I'm a huge fan of credit cards because they give you points and all this type of stuff. But one thing I use credit cards for is one, things that I was going to buy anyway, like groceries, gas, whatever.
Right.
And two, things that I can pay for right then and there on the spot. I ain't about to fill my tank up. Well, you know, gas is low right now, but I ain't about to fill my tank up on no. So let's pretend gas is high. I ain't about to fill my tank up on no $70 if I ain't got it.
What? No.
You see what I'm saying, though?
Right.
But why would I put $70 in my tank if I can't pay that right then and there? Why wouldn't I make sure I have the money right then and there? Borrow the money real quick and pay it back before any interest is due and then get those points so I can travel for free. I don't see why people wouldn't do that. And the other thing is, and I'm going to end with this little point as far as my whole rant. Understanding how credit works and how being credit worthy plays into access more than your actual money. The whole point of credit in America is to give access to those who prove or can prove that they're responsible. You ain't got to make a lot of money. You just got to be responsible. And I think showing children that from a very early age. A lot of times we don't tell kids stuff until we quote unquote think that they can understand it.
Right.
Kids understand.
Right.
Kids understand monetary policy and fiscal responsibility at a young age. Teach them that.
Yes.
Teach them that. I always say, wait, when I have a kid, I'm going to make them do chores and stuff like that. But then I'm going to say, all right, you get $10 for these chores, but you're not allowed to do the chores. Figure out how these chores going to get done. Teach your kid to be an entrepreneur
Right.
from a young age.
Exactly.
How's your kid going to get that done? Oh, they want to get a new toy? All right. What happens when you run out of money for that new toy? Are you going to make sure that you start putting money away? Are you going to reinvest
Right.
it so you can have your friends work to do these chores
Right.
so you can get money to do your toy?
Exactly.
I'm going to teach you how to be an entrepreneur early. And so you understand the need to have an emergency fund, the need to be responsible with credit, the need to understand how to make sure you don't bear the 100% brunt of your work, and that you don't need to have 100% ownership of what you do. I'm gonna end with that little point right there.
I love that because I feel like that makes it like we have to teach ourselves backwards. I feel like as literally the millennial generation, like we have to teach ourselves backwards about money and how to understand money and how to use money, especially if you are an entrepreneur, because a lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, just in my realm, are not from families who teach you about business. So if you never come from it, you genuinely don't know. But we can't keep using like that thought pattern like as the excuse, because we have to figure it out by ourselves. Like I personally just feel like at some point you just got to know you have the answer. If you keep saying that you never had the answer, you're going to miss the answer. It's in your face. It's literally in your hand. Like, all the time, plugged up, all the time, right there, ready for you. Ask it anything, it's going to talk to you. Or you could type it, it's going to give you the answer. So simple, but it's just how much do you want to know? How deep do you want to go? Like, how much money do you want to make? It's all literally just up to you.
That's true.
And not only that, but I think it needs to be clearly understood that you're not necessarily responsible for where you come from, but you're very much responsible for where you end up and the position that you place your lineage. I don't want to even just say children, because some people may never have children, but you may have younger cousins, you may have younger nephews and nieces and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the position that you're able to put other people in and the opportunities that you're able to put people in is solely dependent on you. We got the same amount of hours in each day. And I understand that black people start farther back on the starting line than other people. But the fact that I have seen other black people run a race and catch up lets me know that I'm able to do it too. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be harder? Yeah. Am I going to have more obstacles? Yeah. Are my hurdles going to be a little higher? Yes. Am I going to have more hurdles? Right. Yes. But the fact of the matter is, I have living and non-living proof that it is possible. Mm-hmm. And I just have to we can't let the disadvantage be the excuse.
Yeah.
Ooh, come on. Come on, say it again. Say it one more time. One more time.
We can't let the disadvantage be the excuse.
Oh, my God.
Because the fact of the matter is, we've known for centuries that we're at a disadvantage.
Right.
And that ain't let our ancestors stop them. Don't let it stop us.
Harriet, come on. What did Harriet do? What did she do? What? She ain't got time for y'all. She ain't playing with y'all. No.
So, yeah, don't let that disadvantage be an excuse, because, like, we already know that that's there. Like, that's unspoken. Yeah. And not only do we know that, I really think white people know that, and they just want to be like,
Ben knew that.
Well, Sharon, do you really think that Laquanda is at a disadvantage? Oh yes, I do, Karen. But I really don't want to say anything, so we'll just let her work. Okay. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you so much
for
being like that.
No, for real. We now know the truth. I can't deal with y'all. This was amazing today.
Yes.
What y'all gonna do with y'all's checks? Did we all say that?
Oh yeah.
No, we didn't. I feel like we went on.
Oh yeah.
Tangents.
I mentioned. What I was saying. I actually mentioned what I was gonna do with mine. I'm paying it back to debt. So if everybody does what I do, you said most people don't think like I do. If everybody with debt thought like this and they pay all this money back to debt, does that do anything to help the economy? Does it help? Does it just bring my debt down? I feel like that helped me out.
I feel like
that does help you out.
Economy. We need to be looking out for
ourselves. So here's the thing.
That's why I'm doing it. It helped me.
And after I say this, I still want everybody to delve into what they will and or would do with their stimulus assistance that may or may not come. But I think that is a really good move for you, because it helps you to not be as over leveraged as you are right now, and in the foreseeable future, which is hopefully, we don't know how long this pandemic is going to play out as far as the physical restrictions that we have. But hopefully, with you not being as over leveraged as you were before, it frees up space for more consumer spending.
That's what I was talking about
in
earlier.
The future.
That's what I was saying. Technically, it would. But like I said, me personally, my mind state going into this, I'm not changing my behavior going into.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not really going to be spending a whole bunch of money going out doing stuff. I'm going to spend on groceries.
Exactly. And you can't spend money and go out doing stuff, which is what is totally different from a global health pandemic versus the 08 crisis that we saw.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's not that there is a lack of demand right now.
Right.
It is that the supply is not there to do certain things. We can't go to concerts right now. We cannot go out to bars on the weekend. We cannot go out to restaurants.
The demand is high.
The
Man
demand
can't wait. The man at their house like, oh my God, quarantine.
But you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. We have not seen this before.
That's what
we've
I'm saying.
seen the tech bubble. We've seen the 08
So
crash.
how does this even work if people can't use it to consume? You know what I mean? Because everybody ain't got no job. Niggas ain't had no job for like a month. A lot of niggas ain't had no job.
Let's be honest, this is gonna be more than that.
And about saying though, the stimulus check itself is only going to help with back paying everything they've had to this point. When they ain't had no job for a damn month, they had a check for at least 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So you look at it.
Unemployment definitely isn't going to kick in.
And unemployment is giving you like half of your check at that.
Can we talk about unemployment real quick?
Yeah.
So unemployment is meant to be an incentive to go get back out and work because unemployment is designed to not be enough to really live off of.
Right, exactly.
So you can get out there and keep looking for a job. But when you are in a global pandemic and you are told not to work, unemployment does not make sense.
That's why I said all systems will shift. All systems will shift.
Stop. I can't. But am I wrong? Like, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
When you sit down and do the math and you look behind the reasoning of why things were created, people are filing for unemployment in droves right now, and it's not because they can't work or they can't find work. It's that they are not allowing people to work. This is a totally different fiscal issue than we've seen.
Unemployment don't work here. Like,
Exactly.
What do you do when unemployment doesn't work?
It's like send out another
So
grand.
you telling me 3.4 million people filed the week before, 6.6 million people filed the past week. More people are going to file for unemployment this upcoming week, and they're told not to work. What do you do when you tell people don't work?
And then you give them a grand. You know what I mean? You expect them to do something with this grand.
Here,
And also
you hit them with the Diddy. You hit them with the take that.
No.
Take that. Like,
But you need to think about also, you know what I mean? That grant goes far in Akron. You know what I mean? That grant will help you out with rent for a month, help you with some other shit for a month, something like that. But somewhere like LA, somewhere like Miami, somewhere
You know
like
what,
New York.
In Cleveland, with a lady with 6
Cleveland,
kids with no husband.
in
hey, but you
Cleveland,
want to know what made
you know
me
what I
feel
mean?
a certain way? I was like, yo, thank God that I live in that. when this happened. But then that made me think, bro, remember when we had this conversation? Me and you had this conversation. And I said, I will live in Akron for the rest of my life as long as I can travel when and wherever I want to be able to do business and pleasure.
Yeah,
because the cost of living in the Rust Belt is so low. If I say I want to do business in LA, if I can be in LA every week and get paid to be in LA every week,
and not live in LA, and I pay living in LA money, and you can just visit.
And I'm just visiting, but I actually live in, bruh.
Yeah,
and
you're making the same money you would if you were to pay your business out in LA.
Exactly.
You're just spending less. Exactly.
And I don't think people start living like that. And people, I think right now people are going to start to understand the advantages of living in the Rust Belt.
Man.
But now that we are closer connected in the world, people are starting to understand you ain't gotta live in New York.
No,
My homie the other day, he do stuff for Fight Hype and whatnot.
Yep.
He live in New York.
Yeah.
Sometimes he gotta be out in Vegas for fights. Sometimes he gotta be out to the West Coast in LA. He's in the Bay Area right now. Bro, he ain't got.
Right?
Huh?
Just Ron, right?
Yep. Yeah. He don't actually even have to live in New York. He's in New York because his girl is practicing theater in New York.
And the thing is, he travels, he goes out to all these places periodically. It's not like, that's the thing with a lot of those jobs and stuff like that. When you're doing that stuff, you only need to be out there periodically. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even Ariana can attest to that. She was based in New York, I believe. I mean, I don't want to be talking on, you know what I mean? But she's based in New York for a while. She lives in Cleveland now. But a lot of her business is still done in New York. She just travels to New York. She travels.
And you want to know how cheap it is to get from Cleveland to New York?
Cheap.
$50.
Fact.
Super
That's
cheap.
what exactly. Yeah. So
$50.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that? Is that plane tickets?
Oh no, I'm talking about the bus.
Yeah, bus $50. Yeah.
$50. That's all I need. That's all I need. When I go to New York to visit, and I'm probably going out for a tech convention. This fall, if we not stuck inside, but it's gonna cost me $50, and I already got a place to stay and stuff. Like those resources are there, but we are so caught up with trying to live a certain lifestyle.
It's social media's fault.
It's media.
It's social media.
I also want to talk about the job market too. When I was working more as a model, I had no choice but to live in like a city like New York because jobs weren't available here.
Right.
You know, so it got to the point where I was able, thankfully, to have my business where I had the privilege of living, in Cleveland and traveling back and forth now. But let's say I didn't have my business and I was still trying to just pursue my modeling full time.
You have to be in a different
Right.
physical
be
location.
in a market.
Definitely.
That's
And I
gonna
think that
have
goes to show the implications of not controlling certain facets of your supply chain. And when you do control certain facets of your supply chain, you're able to even live on less of your profit than you would have if you were, again, trading your time for money. I
Right,
still think
right.
about it like this. Warren Buffett lives in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Cut.
I mean, even as a small
Right.
business owner, I still live very below my means just
Exactly.
for that exact reason.
But my whole thing is, as long as you comfortable, keep on grinding.
Yeah.
I think people trying to ball out, and I
Yeah.
thought that this was funny. I think it was Blueface, and correct me if I'm wrong. They was talking about how he bought $1 million home out in L.A. And then I was looking at the house. I was like, my mom's house is bigger than that.
Wow.
Literally, mama.
Because $1 million in LA, yeah.
It's not much, man. To be honest.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
like-
my parents' house costs $130,000.
That's the one thing. But you think about people. Why people move to LA? They move to LA because of the vibes. You walk outside, you got a palm tree in your front yard, and it's sunny as fuck. You can be happy, on a bad day.
I
with
feel
shit.
that,
But
but
the cost
remember,
of living.
all right.
But
So
here you walk outside and you can have a nice house, or you walk outside it's muggy. You all of a sudden your whole mood brought down. You know
All
what I
right,
mean? You can be
let's put
depressed
this
up
out-
here
let's put
and
this out
not even
there.
have a reason. You know what
All
I
right,
mean?
well, let's put it out here on this pod.
But look. I'll give you. I'll go back to your point here. The same money, $1 million out in LA, $1 million here goes a lot farther, and you don't have to go outside type shit. I mean, how does he even
and listen, and you can get, so it goes a lot farther, and you can get a lot further.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's be honest, what did old dude say when we was in Vegas?
Oh yeah.
What did tell him what he said?
The old homie, the big homie, Will's stepdad.
No. When we met the two people, the one chick, she was from Cleveland, and the one dude was from Vegas. What did he say?
That nigga said, I can't wait to get out of Vegas. I think was trying
He
to
said,
move.
"It is nothing
He
here."
was trying to leave. Yeah, we was like, nigga,
No,
people.
Vegas
people
is-
we
no,
was like,
it's
people.
nothing in Vegas.
We was like, but still, like, even in that sense, everywhere you are, then if you there for long enough, you gotta leave. You gotta go. So why not just stay where you at and just go to places periodically? You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
That's the
base
point that
yourself?
I'm making.
Niggas go to Vegas to try and start something. Like he was with the girl he was with went to Vegas from Cleveland to start a new life, and he was like,
Wow.
I gotta leave Vegas. And I'm
Right,
like,
right,
why
right.
y'all? I'm like, well, you in Vegas, people come here, so it's a whole
Right.
different perspective. You know what I mean? Same thing
Exactly.
if you live in New York your whole life, you get to a point you feel like you gotta
Exactly,
leave New
you just
York.
gotta leave.
You know what I mean? Like, so why not get to a point where like you settle somewhere? I see where you coming from.
He
I see
said,
your
"I
point of
gotta
view.
get out of Vegas.
He was-
it ain't nothing here."
He was tripping. Yeah, he was low key on 1,000. But yeah, he was an aspiring artist, so maybe that was part of it.
say.
Like, imagine an artist in New York. A lot of artists in New York left to leave New York in order to get popping and then come
Right.
back to New York. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
true. Some of them
same
go
with
to
Cleveland.
LA, some of them go to
Exact
Vegas.
same thing
I've
with
met
Cleveland.
artists
Right.
in New York that have talked about, "I gotta get out of here.
Same thing with Cleveland.
I've got to get out of
Yeah,
here."
same thing
That's
with
true.
same with LA. Same thing with all these places people start up. They get to a point where they feel like it's toxic because they've been there for too long, and you gotta leave. So like, in that sense, you know what I mean? It can happen anywhere.
I don't
the
know.
place don't matter. In
It
that
does
sense, yeah.
happen everywhere,
Yeah.
and it really
The
does
place
not
don't
matter.
Yeah, place don't matter at all. So, so I guess living in LA don't matter. Exactly, that's what you're saying. But to me though, it's a lifestyle though. It's the one thing when it comes to a point where people, it affects their lifestyle and their mentality. That's another thing when it comes to mental health as well. When people that seasonal depression shit is 100% real.
Oh no, I feel it.
And sometimes
I feel
people
it.
really need to move in order for their own health. You know what
And
I
I
mean?
think people need to know what's right for them. Like, you want to know? All right, so here's my thing. I hated being in LA when I went to LA.
Okay.
You want to know why I liked Vegas?
Why?
And you know I don't like none of the Vegas stuff.
Why did you like Vegas? Yeah.
Literally, it was the mountains.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
pretty.
don't think I told you this.
We talked about it. We were driving. You
Y'all
actually
was driving?
started tearing up.
I started tearing up, and it was nothing other than me looking at the mountains.
It was one of the things that I told you about. It reminded me a lot of Arizona and stuff like that. That area, and that's something. Another thing about being in these places, you can live You can live in Jersey and be working in New York. You can live in Arizona and be working in LA. You know what I mean? Like you can live outside of the area in a more affordable area with nicer places, less traffic, less commotion.
People do that.
Yeah, hell people do that.
And are you willing to commute? It's people that work in the Bay that commute 2.5 hours each way to go to work.
There's people that commute over here to Akron from Pennsylvania because they don't want to fucking live in Akron. You know what I mean? They don't want to live in Ohio. They don't live in Youngstown or Cleveland or Akron. They want to live in Pennsylvania. And I feel it because that's what you want. You know what I mean? Yeah, people live all over the place. So it's like people are able to. It's the thing. How much is it worth it to you? You know what I'm saying?
You want to know what's gonna happen, bro? If we start getting like bullet trains and stuff like that,
you're gonna be living in Ohio.
You
working
know,
in New York.
people are gonna start going in droves here and then working in like DC. Because if you're like, oh, I can get to DC in 2 hours now from Cleveland. It's over. People gonna start moving here.
But then, if you think about why would they do that? I mean, that's just gonna kill a whole other industry in itself, and less money. I mean,
I
feel like it would boost the whole industry.
Affordable
I think.
is it?
I don't know. I think the more that we connect the world,
I think so too. But think about these long-standing we going into a whole other concept.
Yeah, we can talk about this after.
I don't even want to do this.
Yeah,
but I'm just gonna say I'm curious to see how it would interact with the economy if people would actually invest in it. The older people with the money is what I'm concerned about. So that's where I'm gonna stop. I ain't gonna go further into that.
What everybody doing? I'm paying off high interest credit card debt with my my stimulus. That's pretty much all I'm doing. I'm continuing to put money into my portfolios at the rate that they are right now. My portfolio is down right now. Of course, and everything's on sale. I don't know how long things are going to be on sale. I also do think that we were overvalued earlier, so I don't know how long it's going to take things to get back from being off of clearance rack. But while it's on the clearance rack, amen. While it's on the clearance rack, I'm gonna keep putting money in.
Now that you say that, I may have to reconsider. I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, I just plan on using my stimulus check just for bills. Like I said, I'm unemployed right now, so I'm not really looking to spend it. If I can save it, I will save as much as possible. But yeah, I'm just using it to take care of myself and possibly get some new highlighter or concealer.
I'm dead. I'm gonna definitely save a chunk of it, but I'm gonna invest in trading and invest in some real estate education.
Trading or investing? Because I think they different.
Well, trading, I'm going to invest in learning how to trade. I should say that. I'm going to invest in learning how to trade currency.
You're trying to look at them pips.
I'm trying to get $1 million before 2020 is over, and then I'm going to show y'all how. But other than that, I'm going to invest in some real estate education because I really want to get into understanding how to.
I got a book for you.
Thank you. But I want to get into understanding how to do, basically real estate on foreclosure homes. Like, I want to really dive into that.
Buy homes that got like tax liens and whatnot, just pay the taxes and there you own the house and
But then rent it out for people.
All right, bet.
Yeah. On some cool stuff. Which is really why I brought Tyler into the whole conversation, because next time I want to talk about real estate, I kind of wanted to touch into the stream of real estate as an income today, but we got on several tangents. But I really do want to talk about that because I do feel like in terms of being a first generation millionaire, you have to understand real estate. I feel like there's no reason why
it's forever money.
Don't have, even if you own a garage, you need to own it and you need to own the land that's under the garage. Like, I feel like you need to figure out.
I just want to give a shout out to Andrew Johnson, one of our worst presidents.
Wow. I'm about to say, what you shouting that man out?
Like, what?
No, just so people can now look him up. Shout out to Andrew Johnson.
Yeah, I ain't about to even say nothing. Yeah.
Who came after Lincoln and pretty much screwed over black people for a century. Thank you.
Please stop. Yeah, after looking that up.
Look
up why now it's important to own.
Fact. Yeah. It's a very good point. So that's what you're doing with your stimulus check?
Definitely. And then I'm going to say the rest.
What about you, Tyler?
I'm pretty much just putting it aside for a down payment for a duplex right now.
Bet.
And I currently just clear up my debt, so I'm debt free right now. So
congratulations. You balling?
I'm not balling yet. I'm just pretty much just every dollar I get right now is profit.
Can we talk about how you cleared your debt? How did you clear your debt, Tyler?
It's actually it was steps to it. It's been over years I've been going through this. I was going to elaborate a little bit, but the conversations got real intense. But yeah, It started years ago, honestly, but I started my first business. My mindset changed to be an entrepreneur. I started a business in landscaping. That was while I was employed at ODOT. I quit ODOT to do landscaping head on because I wanted to increase my income there. I wanted to generate more clientele and just be a full-fledged entrepreneur. At that time, I was pretty young. I started this when I was 22. I started landscaping. And when I quit my business and I was just, landscaping. But I noticed my money was a little staggered. I would make a lot of money, then I wouldn't make any money, then I'll make a lot of money, then I'll make a little bit of money. And then the winter came. It wasn't a bad winter. I couldn't snowplow. I did snowplowing too. But I'm the type of person where I used to think I was scatterbrained and I did too much. So over the winter, I decided to get licensed to be a personal trainer. I'm also passionate about health and fitness and things like that. So I took that time to get licensed in personal training to create another stream of income.
Whole other stream.
Then I noticed, like, oh shit, I'm in debt. I got some other shit I need to take care of. I need even more money. So I went and got a job in between a couple side hustles, but I ain't gonna get too into the story. But yeah, got another job, and right now this is probably the highest wage I can probably make as an employee, not having a degree. So that's why I bit my tongue and bit the bullet as an entrepreneur and accepted the job for the wages and the benefits as well. I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. I wear glasses and contacts, so I need the benefits. And then from there, I was working there. I'm maintaining my landscaping, and I'm still doing personal training. So I pretty much, take cat naps and rotate those three things all the time. But right now, I'm only down to being an employee because of what's going on.
Right.
So coming from so many perspectives of being an entrepreneur and having a job, I'm on both sides of the fence. True. So I see truly the pros and cons of it. But being knowledgeable on that and just becoming knowledgeable, I don't know how it happened, why I seek this knowledge, but I did, and I cleared my debt. So it just so happened right now where I'm kind of good. I should say I'm not rich or wealthy or anything like that, but I'm good. I'm still able to work because I'm an essential worker. I work at Nestle. And I knew when somebody say, Nestle, I said, oh, that's a big company. Like, that sounds like I can keep that job for a while and the income was good. So I was able to clear my debt, maintain my businesses, and now I'm just looking to transition into this real estate world where I'm still optimistic because of the pandemic. You can't really assume it's going to crash or I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm actually optimistic. I think I think it's kind of perfect timing for things. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm debt free, collecting every dollar, just waiting to purchase a duplex. I am purchasing a duplex because of a process called house hacking that real estate people call it. The real estate world call it house hacking, being able to break even or make profit living in your home.
Oh, living there. You living in one side and you rent out the other one?
Yeah.
That's a wave, bro.
Yeah.
Big move. I didn't know that had a term for that.
That's a term, house hacking. And with that term is another term, the BRRRR strategy that they talk about. I study this where you buy, refinance, reinvest, and repeat. So
it's a wave, dog.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. But I'm saving the $1,200. I'm not doing nothing with it unless it's somebody listening who can call me and tell me they got a duplex.
Duplex open. Yes, you got a duplex. I'll be calling. That's respect, bro. That's dope. Yeah, we definitely gotta go deeper into that.
Next episode,
definitely.
We talk about real estate.
Yes, please. Yes. So, last words.
Man, wash your hands. Save your money. Be wise with your stimulus check, and research the financial institution.
Last words.
Increase your knowledge. Stay healthy. Don't panic. I would say don't panic. Keep grinding. Can't predict these things. You can't predict the pandemic. You can't predict the market. money will always come if you are aware to attracting it.
Definitely. That part.
I just want to say that all the small business owners, we're going to get through this. We're going to come out on the other side, and we're going to be back to business, hopefully by the end of this year. And if you guys want to check me out or check my business out, you guys can visit us at collectivecasting.co. That's collectivecasting.co, or on IG at collectivecasting.
Just want to say thank you, everybody who tuned in, everybody who listened. This is the first steps to becoming a first generation millionaire, and we're gonna be coming at y'all more next time and in the future with more info. Thank you to my co-potters up here, Tyler, Jada,
I like that, co-potters.
Ariana, and Will behind the boards. Until next time.
Peace.